It is better to think of church in the alehouse than to think of the alehouse in church.
And Shane's like trying to talk about it, and he's like,
Shane's
"Yeah,
like, well, I thought this is a show about jokes."
Yeah, you've seen his post interviews.
I'm a funny guy.
He's like, yeah, Pat's like, oh, dude, he loves it when you like rib him and stuff like that. And so he's like, there was something that Saban said to him, and he was like, oh, okay. And then he said what he said, and then like instantly, and he's like, I thought this was a fun show.
Yeah,
What, Alabama Jones is too serious over there. Just so funny. But yeah, you hit
if I were Michigan, I'd go after, and that might not be this year. You might have to like have a patsy for a year or two. I would go after that A&M coach, because that guy coached at Duke before. And I'm sorry, A&M's not a top football program. They make $30 million less as an athletic department, and they have about a 600 winning percentage as a football team over the last 50 years.
Yeah, when your schedule is only slightly better than Notre Dame's, then I mean, like,
they're a cult dressed up as a school. So I would go after him, because that dude knows how to coach, and I think he's a Michigan type guy where it's defense first. He's physical. So we go in there, because that's how you beat Ohio State, is being more physical than Ohio State. Because Ohio State can be physical. They've been physical the last 2 years, but Ryan Day tends to get soft on people. So,
dude, can that guy manage a clock or what? Holy hell!
That's his big. That's the thing. There are no great coaches right now. There's really good coaches. Like,
that Indiana game,
you pick out a coach, and I can give you some huge big piece of kryptonite that might lose a game or a national championship. And his is clock management. Before, he solved kind of the defense thing, but we'll see after this recruiting class that's graduating
that
this
he
year.
Bumbled?
Huh?
The recruiting class that he bumbled this year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Kiffin's problem is the same thing that gets him into trouble on X gets him into trouble in football games, where he loses his cool because he's still like a 12-year-old at heart. I mean, he chirps at football players during games on the sideline. Like, what grown-ass man as a football coach does that? That's childish. Sark has his issues. I mean, a lot of them have their issues. I would say that's why I know they've taken a step back, but I would still say overall, Kirby's the best coach left after Saban left, because he's just a little Saban mini-me. He's not quite as good, but he's...
Yeah, I like Smart a lot. I think that he has... Yeah, I think that he's... I'm still upset about firing of Franklin over at Penn State.
It was dumb, and you could tell it was dumb by how longer the process went, where it was like, I don't think they had a plan. Just someone like panicked and hit the eject button, and then it was like, or they really overvalued who they were. The Iowa State coach, I think, is a good hire for them if they're patient with him. But here's my thing, and this is what I told my friends.
Wait, where did Franklin end up? Oh, no. You're saying that Penn State hired the Iowa State
coach.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech made out like bandits. He's perfect for Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
He's just like Frank Beamer. They leave him alone. He'll win 9, 10, 11, 10 games a year. They'll make a really good New Year's Day bowl in Florida, as long as we have those. And they'll be, and how shitty the ACC is, he can probably win it.
Yeah, but
you just spent $70 million and basically brought in the same dude. No disrespect to Matt Campbell. They're the same coach, though. They're steady Eddie. They bring in really good to good talent, good to really good talent. They're overall good coaches, solid coaches.
Yeah, they're solid. But it's not championship.
But they're not going to win you a championship. And guess what, guys? You've won 2, and that was decades ago with the old man. So get over yourselves.
Yeah.
This is where
the old man that you've stripped from every name on the fucking premises.
This is where college football fans, including my friends, are irrational. It's just like, I keep telling these guys, anybody, it's like the era of teams going, of like 30 teams go, or 12 teams a year going with one loss is over. You got to get used to 2 losses, 3 losses being a good season, which
Which
I'm
brings us
still
to the
not
college football
right,
playoff.
which gets me to I've rethought my thing about college about the playoff. I do think 12 isn't enough, just based on the number of teams. If you're going to do this whole dog and pony show of a playoff and you've got 120 teams, then yeah, it should probably be 18, 24 teams. But then you got to do away with the bowl games or start it right after the conference championships. Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, that too. Well, they're not students anymore, though. That's the thing. Colton's getting our second beer, so we had a little pregame discussion. So might as well tell you about beer number 1, which was delicious. Not surprised. It's not the greatest thing I've ever had, but I haven't had it. Had the Societe San Diego, the mini super IPA, 7.2%.
They punch you in the face with like flavor or anything, I felt like, but it had good flavor to it.
It's good flavor. It's very much a San Diego profile. Yeah. It's that belching beaver.
It's casual. It's good beer. After that, we're headed to Reno, Nevada for our second beer, which is the Revision Emerald Bay IPA, West Coast style IPA.
I don't feel like I've had Revision in a while for about
Dude, I feel like it's
pre-COVID, like particularly peak good hazies. Revision was killing it, and I loved everything they made.
I think the last time I had Revision was that time that we went to that bar that was like downtown Tulare that you guys like showed up after we had like the Barmageddon or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I was like, they had Revision on like in cans there, and that was like the last time I think that I've had them.
That sounds about right.
I don't even remember
which
when that
Jeremiah owned, and it's now
that was post COVID, but it was like when I was working at Western. I think.
Okay. By the way, Barmageddon's back open, but it's a speakeasy now.
Oh, is that where the speakeasy?
Yeah, it's there. I think it's a slow open, soft open. It's opening New Year's Eve or something. Anyway, first beer. First beer was pretty good. First time I've had Society in a while.
Yeah, so we're getting down to some oldies tonight. The Revision one tastes like an orange peel.
Well, that might be our beer. Our next beer. The amount of I think we've had oranges sitting in it for probably too long.
College football playoff. What are you thinking?
I don't want to get into the whole feud between Bama and Miami and Notre Dame is. I'm over it. I think I would have put Notre Dame in above Alabama, but I understand the arguments.
No, okay. Thought you wanted to defend your case.
Well, I think the bigger picture is I'm more interested in this is what happens when an organization decides to pick money as its number one goal. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, isn't that what all businesses do? No, actually, well-run businesses don't making money their number one thing. They do things in order to make money, and they know if they do what they want to do, their mission, their vision of how to do business, yes,
so are you
money
talking
will
about
be
the
made.
College football playoff, or are you talking about Notre Dame?
I'm talking about the playoff where they do the stupid show on ESPN every week. They need to shut that down because that is the whole look. Would there still be a controversy now? Yes. If there was no show and nobody knew what all the rankings were leading up to the last weekend, Notre Dame would still be mad. But Notre Dame's particularly mad because basically they were lied to for 6 weeks or whatever. They were lied to the week before when the committee came out and said publicly on ESPN, Notre Dame is ranked above Alabama because we value the fact that they are on a winning streak. They're undefeated in the last number of games and they're winning by this amount. So when the ratings come out, Alabama gets his ass kicked and they're taken out. Notre Dame has every right to go, wait, hang on, you just said this last week.
I don't pay attention to ESPN talking heads.
No. That's not ESPN Talking Heads. That's literally the committee saying that.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I don't pay it. Like you said, it's the show on ESPN or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I don't.
I didn't watch it myself when I was reading what was and then the athletic director from Notre Dame. That's what he said. It was like, look, would we still be mad? Yes, but we were basically set up. We were lied to for 3 or 4 weeks because we were well ahead. And the way the rankings were, it was basically down to Alabama and Miami. And we get the whole head-to-head thing, which again, sure, okay, I'll get into it in a minute. I think the head-to-head matters, but it's being made out by people who want to argue Miami as the end-all, be-all. And I'm sorry, a week 1 game, head-to-head, I don't think should end up being the end-all, be-all as the only thing that matters. I think yes, that does matter, but Notre Dame losing to that team and Texas A&M by a total of 3 points and 2 plays is more important to me and is more valuable than Miami getting beat by 2 bad teams.
Yeah, I didn't really focus on the whole Miami versus Notre Dame aspect just because, again, I honored the head-to-head where I was like, all right, they beat you. And this is what we talked about, and we've talked about it before. You got to win those games. It's just the same as Ohio State and Texas. If you're going to schedule those teams, and which I think that more teams need to schedule those games, but that's where you got to make your statement and say, we are better than this team, and this proves it. Even if you win by 3, 2, 1, whatever. I was like, Oregon beat Iowa.
Well, apparently you don't, because Alabama played a really bad Florida State team and got beat by it, and it didn't matter a hill of beans. So if I'm Notre Dame, I look at that and go, why would I schedule Miami again?
So Alabama has the 1 bad loss against Florida State, and then Notre Dame has the 2 good losses, if you want to put them that way.
See, again, 3 losses is 3 losses.
But if you play an extra game, that's where I stand.
See, this is where I think both sides are trying to have it both ways. Everyone's saying Notre Dame's is whining and it doesn't have a right to complain because they're not on the conference. And to which I say, okay, that's fine. But then that cuts both ways. And then don't tell me that your championship game doesn't matter.
Okay, but then so if Alabama doesn't play in the championship game, let's say Tennessee only has 1 loss and they play Georgia with only 1 loss, and Alabama doesn't play, does Alabama stay in over Notre Dame?
Depends on the other criteria. I can't tell you that, but I think it should matter.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that it should only. I think that the bowl games, or not the bowl games, the championship games should only count towards placement within the 12, because if you didn't play, would that affect whether or not? And I think that Alabama gets in because, sorry, Notre Dame, you play fucking nobody.
Yeah, but see, you can't say that because Ole Miss didn't play in the championship game and they were better and had a higher ranking than Alabama did. So,
wait, hold on. Wait, one more time.
Ole Miss, and then I left out Texas A&M, both had better records than Alabama and were ranked higher both in the AP rankings and in the playoff rankings. And they didn't play in the championship game. So it can't just be that you played in the championship game.
Oh, listen, I don't want them to play in the champion.
We're getting to the heart of matter. All of this is just because, and I don't think the people in college football give a shit because we're talking about it. So, which is also that's bad business. The idea that there's no such thing as bad PR is one of the dumbest things that people believe. It's absolutely stupid. All of it, this is going to continue until they make the playoff, and they do away with conference championships games, and they just make the playoff. I'm also not, but I don't understand why people are so upset about Notre Dame taking a pass on the bowl game. The same people who are really upset about it were like 2 weeks ago talking about how dumb the bowl system was now that we have playoffs and we should do away with it. So it's like, okay, then why? Then they said they don't want to do it. Then fine.
I don't really like bowl games to begin with. So like, I mean, I used to like them. I liked them because it was like, yay, more college football.
Yeah, before we had a playoff, they were fine, and you had decent games. But now it's just like I don't watch any of them now. So
And
it's just like whatever. Particularly now with the transfer portal, half the starting rosters either announced they're transferring out or they're sitting out because they're going to be drafted. And I'm not tuning in December to watch some glorified spring game.
Yep,
which is all they are.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I'm over I'm over the bowl game. Yeah, I make the playoff, get rid of the bowl games. I don't know. I feel like the more you expand it, it's still going to be like, we still need 4 more teams. Yeah, we still need, and that's where I'm like, it's a.
Oh, you're still going to have controversy. And at the end of the day, I think this is where I'm upset about Notre Dame not getting in. And this is where I do think Notre Dame can do what it did last year, which is make a run for it and get into the semifinal, if not the championship game. The flip side to that is what you said. They didn't win the game that they needed to, or the 2 games they needed to win, so they can't complain about it. The flip side to that is, as long as we're doing a dog and pony show where we got a bunch of jackoffs picking who should get in, you're supposed to be putting a really good product on the. Also, and this is going to be really technical, so if you're not a college football fan, probably you should skip ahead because now I'm going to get really down in the weeds. Let's just also admit, so last year we had issues last year that created problems because of tiebreakers or something dumb. And this year we had problems because the ACC can't get its act together and win football. And so we got 2 jackoff schools who, God bless James Madison. God bless James Madison and Tulane for getting in, but you got no business being in this game. This is like putting 2 JV teams in in a league of all other varsity teams. And they're not going to care because they got the playoff and they can buy all the shit that says that they went to the playoff one year and they're going to love it. But that is really what caused this problem. And the reason why they allow those outside 6, whatever the name is for that group, the group of 6, group of 5, group of 6, whatever.
Well, that's what
is because they don't want to get sued for being a monopoly. So they got to figure that out. They got to sit down with those schools and say, boys, we're going to throw you some dough. We're going to go back to ESPN or whatever. We're going to throw you some dough. You're going to do your own playoff. You're going to do your own playoff.
Yeah, they need to say that the college football playoff is between the 4 big leagues.
And we're going to help you market the shit out of that. So we get people watching, the winner of Mountain West versus, and I actually would watch that. That's some decent football when they're playing each other.
But, and I will say this, and actually and I don't even think it's college football playoff that needs to get ahead of it. The best way to get around this is actually NCAA needs to get on this and do what they're supposed to do, which is now you need to establish we're the NCAA 1, we're the NCAA 2. Well,
I think what'll happen is the Power 4 will break off from the NCAA and start throwing things for football. But then, but at the very least, yes, we have Division I and FCS. We need a division in between.
Yeah,
the disparity in competition is way too big between 1 and 130 or 140 or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's actually what my students that I was talking about it with today. They brought up. They were like, there just shouldn't be designated slots, and I was like, a good point. They were like, why is James Madison playing? And I'm like, well, they won their conference.
It's all because it's just because they don't want to get sued and have Congress step in.
And listen, I like them being there. I like them being there not because I think that they're good for the sport or whatever. I'm just more like, I like them there because I just kind of like the whole Cinderella aspect where I'm like, oh, cool. Here comes a small school. Because what are the next 2 teams after that were like, okay, so Notre Dame makes it in and who?
Well, see, that's the thing though. If they're not in, then Notre Dame and Texas are, and I don't think Vanderbilt's pitching that much of a fit to be like, we deserve to be in. Like that's a school of architects and doctors. Like, they know who they are. There's like, yeah, we're good. We had a really good season. We're just hoping to keep our coach.
I think the Vanderbilt versus Texas discussion would have been fun. I think I would have enjoyed.
Oh, there would have been a discussion about it. And believe me, I think if you actually, again, if we're going to do a dog and pony show, I think the eye test should count. And so Notre Dame is a fantastic football team.
Yeah.
Texas is not. I don't care what their win record is. They bumbled their way through most of the season and barely won against some really bad teams, literally in overtime. And it was like, I've seen enough of this. Yeah, you're getting better, but go off and do some spring ball and get better for next year. You've done enough damage to your reputation this year. We don't need to see any more of that.
But, and again, no offense, but here's also where it comes down to, and when it comes down to Notre Dame, and again, why it's so important to win those games, especially for Notre Dame. You had 3 games this year where you faced ranked opponents. You only had had 3. You lost 2 of the 3.
When you're not in a conference and you have an alliance with the worst of the 4 conferences, you have one hand tied behind your back, which is why I think a lot of from what I'm hearing, a lot of people in college football are basically like,
and you didn't, and no offense,
already. Enough with your histrionics already.
And no offense to Notre Dame. And it was a Notre Dame hosting year, which means that the game is earlier in the season. But you didn't stomp USC. You beat them by 10.
Right. Well, and that was the last game that they're going to play on the schedule for, I think. I don't think they're on the schedule anymore.
Oh, really?
I think that was the last game they have scheduled.
With USC?
Yeah.
Dang.
So, hooray for you. Now you still got Stanford on that schedule. No, they need to, I think they need to go back to the Big Ten and say, this is how much money we get from NBC. Can you match it? We'll join the conference. Because that's really what it comes down to. And I don't know what they get from NBC. They don't want to lose money.
I don't want them in the Big Ten. I don't feel like they're good enough to be in the Big Ten.
Oh, I do.
Oh, no. Okay, wait. I think that they're a really good team, by the way. Do you think they play Big Ten football?
They do play Big Ten football.
Defensively? I mean, listen, you can't sit there and tell me that just because they beat Troy 58-0.
No, Marcus Freeman plays a physical style football.
On the defensive side?
They didn't have last year's team had the talent. I think this year's defense is the strength of the team is not defense this year, but you can't just be like, pick this one year. They played exceptional defense the year before, and they have easily the best running back in the country. They ran the ball down people's throats.
Listen, don't get me wrong. Aside from, well, wait, did they even play Georgia? They didn't even play Georgia.
What do you mean? This year?
No, I'm talking about last year. I was like,
no, but they beat who they beat.
Yeah, but I'm throwing some discredit towards their run to the national championship last year. They didn't play anybody on their way there. They literally got the easiest schedule to get to the national championship. I know. And listen, I'm not. But then they got curb stomped. And I mean,
no, they beat Georgia. No, they did beat Georgia.
Oregon got curb stomped. Well, no, that's what I was asking. I don't remember.
Yeah, they beat Georgia. That was the game where I thought Georgia was going to win, and they did. And I was like, oh, this team's actually really good.
Yeah, they're better. I mean, listen.
And Georgia's not what it was when they had those 2 years either.
Georgia got beat by a Big Ten school.
Look, the top of the Big Ten right now is as good as the SEC. The problem is the SEC overall is better than the Big Ten overall.
Yeah, but I think that's because the Big Ten is the Big Ten not bigger than the SEC? It's bigger than the SEC.
No, it's not having to do that. The South has all the talent football wise, and all of the kids. They have more talent.
But wait, is the Big Ten not bigger than the SEC, or are they the same size?
I think they're both 16 now.
Are they 16? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there is a discrepancy, but I don't know. There's some where it's like our middle currently, I feel like, is still stronger than the SEC's
I think
middle.
USC loses to most of the middle of the SEC.
Oh, I didn't even consider USC as part of the middle. I think they got really.
I think Kentucky beats UCLA.
I think their offense is. Oh, UCLA, sure. I think that the bottom of the SEC is better than the bottom of the Big Ten.
Yeah, but I think like Illinois is the upper middle of the Big Ten. I think they lose to most of the SEC.
I think Iowa is brutal. I think the Illinois.
I think Iowa's Iowa's like Oklahoma, and it would be a great game. It would be two teams just blooding each other. I mean, that's the thing.
I think Illinois can fucking hammer it. Occasionally
they're physical, but they don't. But also they don't have the look. There's a reason why.
Again, I'm just talking about
60% of the talent in the NFL comes out of the SEC.
No, listen. I'm not hating on the SEC at all. I'm just saying that I don't like.
I think it's the top that competes together. It's not from the top three down. The Big Ten's not competing with SEC.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
we're gonna see it because I'm interested to see what Indiana does because boy, that game was close on the scoreboard, but they kind of brutalized Ohio State. Like Ohio State
manhandled them.
They got manhandled.
It was a good
now
game.
They might not get manhandled. They might have underestimated Indiana, but usually that takes like a quarter to figure out.
Well, not if you're Ryan Day.
Well, I mean for the players.
That guy's known
because there was another game. What was the other game I was watching? No, I think it was close for a while, and I was like, okay, these guys have figured out, like, okay, they're faster and they can hit better than we thought. And then they kind of woke up and it was like, okay.
Was it an Ohio State game or no? Because that's how I felt about Ohio State versus Washington.
No, it was one of the. I think it was one of the conference championships games. Championship. No, it wasn't because that didn't happen in the Georgia game. No, it was the Georgia game where Georgia's kind of Texas there was some game where
BYU.
You could just tell. Oh, it was BYU came out and just thumped Texas Tech for about a quarter. And then Texas Tech was like, hang on, we've been here before. Like, yeah, okay, these guys are a little more uppity than they were when they traveled to our place, but we can beat these guys. And then all of a sudden just like woke up out of there and we're like, okay, we're still better.
Well, and actually that's my beef. Actually, remember what I said about whole like winning games and like I don't feel like the conference championship should have an effect. If BYU wins the conference championship and they're into the playoff, that doesn't make sense for if they lose the conference. If you do that, that's where if you were to push back on me on what I said and how the committee responded with the whole Alabama Georgia thing, because how is it that if BYU wins that game, they're in the playoff, but if they don't win that game, then
they're in because it's an automatic berth.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. But but they wouldn't give him the number. Oh, it's an automatic berth, but they wouldn't give him the number. They wouldn't give him 1 through 4.
Correct, but they would have gotten in. But we got rid of last year where Arizona State got the number 1, but one of the top 4. They would have been.
Yeah, they got rid of that. So Oregon would have
8 or 9.
Oregon would have bumped up to 4.
Right,
and actually that would have been really interesting.
And their whole thing was, BYU got punished because they got thumped in the championship game. People were like, well, you didn't treat Alabama that way. Yes, because they already got curb stomped by Texas Tech. Alabama beat Georgia earlier in the year, and then they got curb stomped, and so we're calling it a wash.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That was college football. Again, I don't have a problem with Notre Dame joining the Big Ten.
They got to join something, and at this point, I don't know why you joined the ACC.
But aren't okay, so that was like the whole debacle about the ACC putting thing on Notre Dame was kind of funny. But they were like, we give you guys money and all this kind of stuff, and you're sitting there and I was like, well, one of them is, and it was ACC football, by the way, that had posted the ACC football account, which Notre Dame, you're not a part of the ACC football.
No.
I know that you give them lots of money and that when we show up, we sell out the stadium, blah, blah, blah that's great. I was like, all the Catholics in Miami come out. I get it.
But the ACC's got to figure out their tiebreaker. Whatever.
So does
whatever genius ACC Duke North Carolina bullshit that came to that conclusion that Duke won the tiebreaker and Miami got left out has got to be solved.
So Notre Dame is a part of the ACC for all the other sports except football?
No, that's their alliance for scheduling because there's been so much consolidation.
Okay. Somebody had said that.
Maybe they are for basketball and stuff.
I think they said volleyball and like I think that they're
It
associated
might
with...
be everything but football.
That's weird.
And then football, it's just an alliance. Well, it's not weird because NBC writes them a check for Notre Dame games. So
There it is.
and
but again,
but again, they're going to have to join. They had to do the AC. They had to do the ACC thing for football because now that there's been so much consolidation in the conferences.
Well,
with teams where, we got 2 less conferences, basically. There's not a lot of open dates. And then the SEC is finally going to a 9 schedule conference, so that there's not many games left where they can just go hunt for games.
Are they the only ones that are adding the extra game next year?
Yeah, they're adding an extra game.
They don't need to do that. But so
they take shit from it from the Big 10 and the ACC for it, and the Big 12, you don't play 9 games. Which that doesn't solve the problem because A&M played a cakewalk schedule and my team, Oklahoma, played a murderer's row. And you have that every year. It happened the year before. I don't remember who it was.
But what you're saying about A&M, that's how I feel about Notre Dame. And here's the thing is about the whole conference thing, and I think that the athletic director at Notre Dame is being very, very strategic because he's the one that's in charge of scheduling. And as a head coach, that my rankings in water polo are based upon who I schedule and my strength of schedule. And I have to look at my league and I have to sit there and I have to meet a certain win criteria in order to make playoffs, as well as have a strength of schedule that is... I have to schedule games with teams that are better or worse.
This is literally what every other athletic director outside of South Bend is muttering right now to each other. You know what would solve this problem? You join a conference because then your conference is your conference. Now, again, that's true, but not true. The SEC is going to add another game, but they still need to tinker with their schedule. You can't have it where A&M plays basically hardly any ranked teams, and Oklahoma and I think Ole Miss or somebody plays 5 or 6. They need to go to an NFL weighted thing where the top.
Yeah, they need to draw a line through their division. They need to draw a line through the division at the halfway mark, and they need to say these are all playing. But everybody that's in the college football playoff has to do the exact same thing. But
I agree. That's what you need to have. The Big 10, let's just say Big 10 and SEC in particular. You weight the schedule so the top 8 or whatever play each other, and you beat the shit out of each other. And yeah, you're gonna. This is why I keep saying
But then the college football playoff has to designate 3 slots.
Exactly.
Both of
and
those
you know
leagues.
What will happen? It will create better football because by the time you get to the playoff, people will have actually played someone.
Yeah.
Instead of playing, because that's A&M's problem. And yes, Texas got better, and then they played Texas in the last game, and it was oh, these guys aren't the same team that bumbled around against Kentucky and had to go to overtime.
And they're a lot better. And the Big 12 and the ACC can do the exact same thing, but they need to be given 2 slots, not 3.
Correct.
So you go 3.
The model that I like the most is on championship weekend. This doesn't solve the scheduling problem, but for the playoff, you have the top on championship conference weekend. You have 1 and 2 play.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week.
Okay, well,
you have 1 and 2 play, and then you have 3 and 8, 3 and 6 play,
3 and 6, and 4 and 5,
4 and 5,
and then the winner of those go. And then it's because then it's.
You're only fighting for positioning.
Then it's like the NFL, and 1 year some team's going to get in, and you'll be like, that team didn't. Yeah, well, they won, they got in. It's what it is.
Yep.
There's been years. There's years where barely 500 teams get into the playoff in the NFL because that's how it works. And too bad.
Yeah,
but there's not a group of people.
That barely 500 team also has the home game because they won their division.
Correct. and it's one. There will always be complaining about playoffs, but you've got to try to eliminate to where you can say those jackasses. Because I could be really cynical about what just happened. I could be very cynical and say someone got in a room and said, over my dead body is another SEC team not getting in the fucking playoff. Alabama's in, and you guys figure it out.
Well, and there's 5 SEC teams in the playoff,
Correct.
right? Georgia.
So I could be really
Bama,
cynical and say,
Miss. Who are the other 2? Georgia, Bama, Miss, Oklahoma,
Texas A&M,
and Texas A&M. There we go.
I could be that cynical and just be like, nope, that's what's going to happen. And until everyone agrees, I'm going to vote no on everything.
Big Ten's got the big 3. We were technically 4 until Penn State shit the bed. Until Oregon broke Penn State
For 2 weeks.
No, for 3 weeks.
Yeah, but those 2 games they lost came to like.
Oh yeah, lost to Oregon and then lost to UCLA and Northwestern, and then that was like, yeah, the 2 they were broken for 2 weeks. They did the loss to Oregon wasn't bad, like.
Well, and also like the combined points for the 3 losses were less than 10. It was like 9 points or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but remember how bad they were losing?
No,
UCLA?
I know, but.
I know. I know. I don't remember how much. I didn't watch the Northwestern game.
This is where
wasn't Drew Allard. No, Drew Allard got injured for the Northwestern game. He was still healthy for the UCLA game.
He got hurt. No, yeah, he got hurt in the UCLA game.
Oh, he did.
I think he got hurt in UCLA.
I thought he played.
Maybe I don't know.
He played because we were like, oh, Drew Allard's going to do Drew Allard things in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
playing in front of a 10-person crowd at the Rose Bowl.
There's no group of people who lack self-awareness than a group of college football alumni. We're talking about A&M, like they think there's some perennial power. There are 600 programs since like 1970, so they've won 1 conference championship since 1998. But you know they think that they're just like one coach away from being Alabama. It's like, nah, actually you're not. But Bama was like that before Saban. It was like, no, he hadn't really won anything in a while, so pipe down.
A&M and Penn State are the same thing. So they're both cult schools. So
all right, we're going to keep I don't know if you have a trivia question or not. I do. I have trivia.
I don't have a trivia question. I don't have a trivia question.
We're going to keep sports going. I'm going to hit you with some EPL, English Premier League trivia.
Okay, can I take a leak first?
Yeah, and it's only EPL. So I think we did soccer once, and it was like English soccer. So it dated back to like... Yeah, so we're like trying to guess whether or not the Blackburn Rovers had a dominating decade in the 40s. This is 2002, whenever EPL broke away from First Division, whatever it's called. Yes, First Division. No, it's just I was doing what you're doing, and I started hunting around for trivia questions. Trivia. You'll probably get, I don't know, you might get all of these. You'll get most of them. I don't know how hard this is going to be. I would have gotten 4 of them. I would have answered the ones that all are related to Manchester United, like 1990s. Other than that, I would have gotten another one, but...
Sir Bobby Charlton. I think that's probably too old for Premier League. Actually.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, it's like
so. All right, I think you're going to get off to a good start. In what year was the Premier League founded, replacing the old First Division?
Was it 2002 or no?
No.
Oh,
that's right. You said 2002.
Dang, 2000?
Nope.
Am I like?
You might struggle with this more than I thought.
Am I in the ballpark or no?
No. Well, I mean, it depends on how you define ballpark.
Am I within 10 years?
You're in a minor league ballpark compared to a major league ballpark.
Am I within 10 years?
Yes.
My first guess within 10 years.
Yes.
So 2004? That's like
go backwards.
Oh, backwards. Oh, okay. So 1998.
You are in the window for 2002.
Oh, 2001?
No.
Oh, I'm in the window. I'm so confused, but I got to go backwards. And I said 2000.
The window can go from here to here. You're in the window.
Oh, okay. So 1992.
Yes.
There we go. I'm like, wait, what?
1992.
I didn't know the EPL was that old. I thought that it really started in the thousands, honestly.
All right, here we go. Number 2. Which club won the inaugural Premier League title in 1992-93?
Oh. Liverpool.
Nope.
92-93. Manchester United.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many clubs have won the Premier League title since its inception?
Fuck. Okay. Liverpool, Chelsea, United, City, Leicester.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I got to make sure that
You have 6. Oh, you have 5.
I said Liverpool, United, City,
Liverpool, United City.
Chelsea, Leicester. Nope.
You have 2 more.
Okay. Your question was how many, but I could say the 2 that I was like, let's get the last 2. Then
Wait, say you said United City.
So United, City, Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea.
Yep.
Got 2 more.
That's what I thought you had.
Gunners, Arsenal win.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think you're going to get the last one. I wouldn't have gotten it. I only know them because they were really good first division. I didn't even know they had a decent year as a premier team. But then again, what do I know?
not Cardiff.
They're not currently in the. Yeah, they're not currently in the.
Well, I said Cardiff, not QPR, not Swansea, not Leeds, Leeds is in now. I feel like I know this. I feel like they're on the way up, actually. They went in like 1996 or something. Do you know?
I don't know what year they won. They must have won early because when I got in the photo business, we did a lot of English. We did first division soccer, and they were really good.
Yeah, you might as well tell me then.
It's Blackburn.
Oh, Blackburn.
So I'm assuming they won like within a couple years of the split, and then have since taken a dive. They're one billionaire away from buying them and turn them around. All right, which team went the entire 2003-04 season undefeated, earning the nickname the Invincibles?
Oh. Is that not United?
Nope.
Is that Chelsea?
Nope.
Just felt like that was a part of Chelsea's thorn in United's side season.
A lot of Chelsea fans in Kenya.
Yeah, I know. That's where I was like...
Do they have an African player? They must have that big African player.
They have a lot of African players.
Because the Kenyan kids all follow that. It's all you're in Kenya with the kids that I get to hang out with. You're either a Chelsea fan, a United fan, or a Liverpool fan. There are no City fans. There were no City fans the last time I was in Nairobi.
Is it Arsenal?
Yes.
Okay.
Name the only club to have won the Premier League outside of the Big Six and the Blackburn Rovers.
It's Leicester.
Yep.
That was a great year. Good year for English Premier League.
I remember that year. I remember my friend Gilbert just like we'd meet every couple of months and he just like completely baffled. Like, do you understand what's going on? I'm like, yeah, I'm quite aware.
That was the most amazing. And that's the whole premise of McElhenney and Reynolds buying Wrexham.
Yeah, it's like we can.
They literally, yeah, and they say it in like the first episode. They're like, "Well, you can win the whole show as like a AAA ball club," like, and it was like, yeah, and they were like, and that just infatuated McElhenney, where he was like, "What?"
Yep, and they're doing it. I mean, they're on their way.
They're on their way. Wrexham's not doing super great but they're.
I think the higher they get, it's going to take them like 2 or 3 years to then get to the next.
I completely agree.
But to do one and one, that's asking
no
a lot.
offense to them, and no offense to. Well, it's not an offense to them. They're doing what they're supposed to do, but they were significantly overspending their league.
Well, they were overspending, but there was also a wider talent pool to win those divisions. And now you're getting to the point where now you're not just competing
in the beer league anymore.
You're not just competing against the Premier League. You're competing with to an extent the German league and the Spanish league. I'm not.
Yeah, it's not just British, Irish, Wales or Welsh.
Yeah, now you're having to go out and
players that you're drawn in. Yeah, you got to go.
You got to compete and then now make sure freaking Saudis or whoever don't come in and steal your players.
And again, they found success where Beckham and Brady have not found success. So because Brady and Beckham both own a team that was in the division that they just got.
Really?
Just got bumped up out of. So,
well, Miami's winning. So
I was like, "Have you?" Oh yeah, they won. Well, yeah, Beckham's got a good thing going over there. So, but
well, I mean, that's all based on an old man who's still better than anybody.
Yeah.
playing with. So,
hey, Seattle beat them for the League's Cup. By the way, I'm just saying. But
that's true. That's true.
We played more games than anybody else this season. Don't let anybody fool you. We did in MLS. So
and now you're gonna go to your crazy schedule.
Yeah, dude, come on. Why are we going to the freaking
that schedule's only worth it? Again,
MLS,
we're boring. I just have to say, just between you and me, anybody who's still listening, they're like, yeah, of course. Our shows that are heavily sports, the listenership just tanks, but you and I don't care. The payoff will be is getting more foreign players. I think that's the payoff. They're sacrificing viewership.
Well,
and hoping to get. I just don't know if it's gonna pay off.
I don't think so either, because I think that we're still viewed as a joke, or a training ground.
Okay, question 7. I got 15 of them.
Cool.
Which player holds the record for the most Premier League assists in a career?
Ryan Giggs.
You know how many? You're correct. So this is just a bonus.
No, I don't know how many.
162.
Wow. Yeah, that guy Giggsy. He's the best.
Yeah, he was on the team when I was a super Manchester United fan. Who was the only player to have won the Premier League Golden Boot with 3 different clubs? And I can give you the clubs. Arsenal, United, Liverpool. I think this must have been early because I don't remember this name.
Yeah,
I barely remember this name, actually.
I don't know somebody who's played for those 3 clubs.
Reds,
by the way.
Robin Van Persie.
Oh, RVP. He played for Liverpool?
Apparently, and he won the Golden Boot doing it. So
no, he's actually late. I was like, he's 2013, 2014 is his prime.
Okay, well, that's my least knowledgeable period of them.
He had the coolest. He had goal of the year or goal of the cup for the 2012. No, not 2012. 2014 World Cup. He hit a header from like the 18-yard box.
I remember that. Yeah,
literally just the diving header. Like just flying out, dude. Me and Eric talk about it all the time. We bring it up like at least once a year. We're just like, hey, remember that one time that Robin Van Persie did a diving header from the 18-yard box on the greatest goalkeeper in the country, which was Casillas for Spain? Fucking,
he's Dutch, right?
Yeah. So we called him the Flying Dutchman. It was fucking awesome.
The Dutch fight well above their country size when it comes to soccer. I don't know how they do it, but it's a small country. And they're always competitive.
I had an RVP
in the
jersey.
90s through the early 2000s. They were always like the country. They were the team. The country had to worry about like getting hot and just. And I mean, it seemed like they had like 3 or 4 dudes on Manchester United when they were having their big peak years too. Yeah. And I don't know how that little country does it. They're not one of their little soccer league isn't one of the best. But Ajax or however you say it,
yeah.
They're always fantastic.
Yes, they play quality, good soccer. You know, if you're tired of the flopping around and stuff, I'd go watch Dutch or Bundesliga.
Oh yeah,
go watch the Dutch or go watch the Bundesliga.
They move around. It's that whole whatever. They talk about it in the last season of Ted Lasso. All right, who holds the record? You're going to get this one. Who holds the record for the most goals scored in a single 38-game season? Or maybe you won't.
I feel like it's between 2 people, and I don't want it to be the first person that it's coming to mind. And you laughing makes me... Okay, so is it Cristiano or no?
Nope.
Is it Wayne Rooney?
Nope.
Oh, no, it's not. Most goals in a single 38 games. I don't know why it says 38 game season. Because it's probably more than that now. Actually, or it's more now than it was before. Is it Erling Haaland?
Yes. 2022-23.
That's right.
36.
I remember when he broke that
36
record.
goals.
Yeah, that guy's a beast.
What goalkeeper holds the record for the most clean sheets in in Premier League history. 202. That's insane.
Allison.
Nope. Nope.
Can I get a team?
Nope. I don't know the team because I don't know the name, and I'm not quite even sure how to pronounce it.
Oh, well then let's hear it.
Peter Cech.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't even know what team you played for, but I know who you're talking about.
It's Petr, Peter, and then it's C with a tilde over it, or it's not really a tilde. It's Cech, but with the C's not. It's Slovakian or something C. So I assume it's probably Czech or some other pronunciation.
He is a Czech and current ice hockey goaltender playing for the Haringey Huskies.
Of course,
of
he
the
is.
NIHL South.
He probably
Division.
dominates because he's probably like 6'5", just takes up the whole goal and doesn't move. That's awesome.
And by some is the greatest goalkeeper alongside Peter Schmeichel in Premier League history.
Good for him.
He's an Arsenal. That's awesome.
Much less lateral movement. All right. Which managers won the most Premier League titles with 13?
What was it?
Managers won the most Premier League titles with 13.
Gee, I don't know. Could it possibly be Fergie? Is it Sir Alex Ferguson?
Yep.
Oh, man, that was a tough one. Teacher at Harvard, by the way. Professor at Harvard.
Now or before?
Now. Teaches business classes at Harvard.
Oh, it's probably culture stuff. Oh, I'd take that class in a second.
I know,
that
right?
Dude,
yeah, right?
if somebody knows about mission vision, I mean, I think he made a bad decision with Beckham, and it looks really bad when you watch Beckham's documentary on Netflix. But also, it's defensible in that he did not want the drama that was going around that, and I still think he should have. I think he should have.
And Beckham's also talking about it from an athlete perspective.
Correct, and I do think Ferguson. That was one of those moments where Ferguson had to amend the culture thing and just accept like things are changing.
Yeah,
but that's hard in the moment.
Yeah,
and so to be just like, oh, he was an idiot. Like, no. He had a team of exceptional soccer players from handpicked. Like, it's Bill Belichick, Nick Saban's like wet dream.
Yeah,
and he didn't want to deal with the drama. And I can I can understand that. And again, it was a mistake. They probably could have won a couple more titles if he dealt with it. But also, you can't just be like, oh, it was a terrible decision. No, because all of the reason for letting him go wouldn't have gotten you the championships that you got up to there. So all you did was get robbed by maybe one or two more.
Yeah.
What is unique about the fact that no English... Wait, what? Okay. Somebody wrote this incorrectly. What is unique about who has not won the Premier League title? Manager. What is unique about the managers who have not won? I'm going to throw that question out. I'm going to throw that question out, and then I'm going to tell you what it was when we're done. There's no way to save that one. Which manager was? Oh, I'm going to ask you this, but just give you the answer. Which manager was in charge of Blackburn Rovers when they won the title in '95? Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah, it was.
Nah, this one's ridiculous too. I'll skip that one. I'll read it, but there's no way. Which three players shared the Premier League Golden Boot in 2018-19?
They shared it?
Yeah, three players shared the Golden Boot in 2018-2019.
Oh, I have no idea.
Mohamed Salah.
Yep.
Sadio Mane.
Okay.
Mane. And Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Sure. Nope. 2018-19 season, I did not pay
When
attention.
did you get into soccer, the Premier League?
Oh, Premier League 2012.
Okay, but that
But the 2018-19, I remember that's probably the worst year of my life. that was when I was going, literally that season was, I think October was when June of 2018 was when I had my first panic attack. And then that proceeded what was.
Okay, well, the judges would
worst.
have clearly accepted that as a reason. Also, I would say that COVID, like 2 years before COVID and 2 years after, any loss of memory in that general area is understood.
2018 was arguably.
It was like, really? Was that COVID? No, that was before COVID. Oh, it's all the same thing.
Second half of 2018 was the worst of my life. So, and I didn't get better till April. So, sorry, I didn't turn around and just be like, "Oh, Mo Salah's the best guy." So, yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can resurrect this question. It's a great question. What is unique about the managers who have won? Of all of the managers who have won the Premier League, what is unique about them, or what do they all share? You're not going to get it. It's a great question.
I feel like
it was better asked.
What?
The way it was. I mean, it was actually the way they phrased it gave away the answer.
I feel like I've heard this before. But you're going to tell me the answer, and then I'll be like, no, never mind.
No Englishman has ever won the Premier League.
Yes, out of the manager, and so
Ferguson Scottish.
Yeah, that's why they wanted United wanted fucking what's his name, whoever the Englishman who's running the national team. They wanted before. The German guy now is running it, but they wanted him to be United's manager because they wanted to get an Englishman. It's too much fucking nationalism when it comes to some of this.
Sorry, guys, you're a small island.
Listen, you create a lot of fantastic soccer players, but the nationalism that comes out of it, and the press that comes for nationalism, the player recognition for nationalism. Harry Kane's great. Is he top 10 strikers in the world? No. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, it's true. What you're saying is absolutely true, but it is still shocking. I mean, a good percentage of the Premier League is still
British,
UK.
Oh, 100%.
Or even English. The fact that they haven't won, or not even won, not close is not fair. The fact that they haven't won a World Cup since, 68 is shocking.
Did they not win one in the 90s? I thought they did.
No. Let me look it up real quick. I think the last time they won was no, they did not win one in the 90s.
Oh, I thought they had 92 or something.
I think it's World Cup. It was 68. They got close with Beckham. They got the semifinal. 66.
Oh, okay, 66. Maybe that's what I thought. Oh, is Beckham the 92 team or the no?
No. Beckham was 98 or early 2000s. They lost to Germany, I want to say, in the semis. But I mean,
run last year. They're
66. That's they're in
the number 2 seed.
That's like being a UCLA Brewing fan in basketball, during Wooden, and then going you're 80 years old and you haven't won another title. What are we doing? They were, it's like me when I was a kid for Oklahoma. What do you mean? We just go get national championships every 10 years. It's been since 2000.
It's a 25-year drought.
Nope. I'll be happy if we win one game and then get our ass kicked by Indiana at the Rose Bowl. All right, that was English Premier League trivia. If you didn't like it, too bad. Again, some of this stuff is just for our amusement. I will say, just for a quick cleanup moment, not a cleanup moment, in-house, how the sausage is made moment, I'm hoping so we now have AI that's processing our podcasts, our shows. It runs through an AI process before it gets posted, cleans up some of the noise in the background, creates a transcript for us. And it also breaks up the podcast into sections. It figures out what we're talking about. So if you are bored by what we're talking about and I haven't checked all the platforms, so I don't know if it's just Apple or Spotify does it too, but Apple will do it. Just find where you're bored and skip ahead. And it should skip ahead to tell you where to go to the next segment and get you to if all you're here to do is have us talk about Christianity or the church or politics or whatever, then that's how you get around that. But hopefully you're utilizing that feature if you're bored by our personal life, which I'm not offended by, or sports. And also, to be fair, there's some episodes where I just cut it out. Like the last episode, this week's episode I posted, which is Church Doge. I cut out the first half hour because Colton and I were talking about sports. I did. Speaking of Church Doge, because last week we recorded an episode and somehow I didn't save it, so that episode's lost, and we're not re-recording it. We had a really good discussion about something that we stumbled into.
Last week's didn't get recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. We had a good discussion last week.
We'll see if we can recreate that. It's just I think we've lost one or two other episodes, and it's never the same. Okay, you mentioned, sorry, stop, and then I'll go back to what I was just about to talk about. Yes, the revision was very orangey because it was soapy. It was very bitter.
Yeah, it was bitter.
Very bitter.
Yeah, it was almost like an orange peel that just like sat in water, and that's what I was drinking. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't piney bitter.
How would you take a
sip? It was I had a sip.
Oh, you had a sip. How dank is this?
I'm drinking a joint. It's very dank.
I just took a whiff.
That's what Machine Head thinks it is. When they say pure dankness and you show up and you're like, no, it's just juicy. That is what that is. I actually enjoy it, but yes, if you're listening.
I'm not even taking a sip, but I'm like, oh my gosh. Somebody literally, you'd smell this and be like, that is weed, my dude.
It is. That is hippie lettuce that's just been fermented.
It is called, what is it? Read it out.
It is. It's a new brewer to us.
Yes, it is.
It's a new brewer. And yes, I'm a little giddy because we've had 2 beers. No, it's still, anyone listening to this is not experiencing. I'm going to go to where you bought this and buy more so I can take it at least so the friends of the show can experience what we're experiencing tomorrow at Kauai. This is Absolution Brewing Company. It's Absolution Brewing Company, and the font that they're using is very Crusader. It says Southern California. That's all it says. So great. You're a brewery within 100 square miles. Awesome. It could take me 5 years to find your brewery. What is this? This is Walter White started a brewing company from Breaking Bad.
You should look him up. You should see.
It's Absolution Brewing Company, Nigh Rider, double dry hopped IPA.
Double dank. Absolution. Hold on, let's look this up. Absolution Brewery, close. Torrance, California. I don't even know where that is.
It's west of Long Beach.
West of Long Beach? How can you be west of Long Beach?
No. You see
it is northwest of Long Beach.
It's northwest of Long Beach. Due west of Long Beach is Palos Verdes, which is a big peninsula.
Sure.
Yeah, it's Torrance, it's basically in the same area as Smog City, and it's south of
Manhattan Beach.
No, who makes
Hawthorne? Inglewood.
Well, it's Hawthorne, but I'm thinking of the brewery. Who makes the Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Oh,
It's south of El Segundo, which
El
is
Segundo.
where El Segundo Brewing Company is. It's they're part of the Smog City area. Look, the more I drink it, I like it. But damn, yeah, it's dank. It's dank as hell.
It's fine. I don't like the mouthfeel of it.
It's thick.
Yeah, it's thick with the aroma. Kind of makes it this like.
Ooh.
At the same time, like I feel like I'm drinking dirty bong water. At the same time, like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I just had that where it just I drank it, and then something like sloshed on the top of my lips, and then I got that like I got the skanky flavor, and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah,
skunky, not skanky, skunky.
danky. I get you. Yeah, and smelling it, it's just
Skanky's a whole other thing. That's 12 of these in some 100-pound girl.
yeah.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. Now I'm torn.
I'm not a fan.
It's very so. It's
We have two more by this
smells.
brewery, by the way.
What?
I said we still have 2 more by this brewery.
Whew. It smells danky. The reason why you don't like it is actually if you really think, if you just close your eyes and don't
Smell.
smell,
Yeah, that's
it's very grapefruity, and that's why you don't like it.
Yeah. That's fine.
But yeah, it's hippie lettuce on the front and grapefruit on the back. They probably eat grape nuts while they're making it. Granola.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
Anything about the Premier League? Is that what you're getting?
No, I was talking about. I was talking about our podcast. I do have a cleanup from last week.
Besides the fact that nobody will ever hear that episode. It's like you don't have anything to clean up. There's technically.
Well, I have a cleanup from the one that just got posted today.
Oh, okay.
Which will then end up being, this will get posted in a couple days, and this will be last week's.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about church plant, home church, and we got rolling, and I stick by what we said. And the general point that we were making was, I'm not correcting anything we said. It's loosely a cleanup on all 5, but it's really just adding on. I said at one point we need a pastor who will double down. You and I were talking, and we said we need an organic where people just start leaving the church and get together and decide they want to start home church, and then we need a pastor who will double down and say this doesn't work, and we're going to sell everything and go to home church. That technically is still not happened, and we've mentioned this before, to be fair, but we didn't mention it in the moment, but I want to reiterate. I want to bring this up again. Francis Chan did, in a way, do this. He didn't shut his church down because he couldn't. He had a board to answer to. But at the peak of his prominence, quit as the head pastor of his church in Southern California. I know where the church is. Northwest of Los Angeles, and said, I'm quitting, and the church model doesn't work anymore, and I'm going to go start a home church. And so he's done that. In fact, and so if you're listening to this, and so I want to bring this up because someone's tried it. 1, someone's tried it. 2, I haven't looked up, but I'm sure there's all kinds of articles pointing out all the problems with what he's doing, which my response to that is, yes, when one person is trying to do it, it's very easy to poke holes, which is why we need to have more people do it. But he has started he has an organization. If you're listening to this and you're interested in home church, you have no resources, you don't know what to do, he might be someone to look at. He's started an organization called We Are Church. Just look up We Are Church in Google. It's the first thing that pops up. Man, so he moved up, he and his wife sold everything. They moved to San Francisco, I think conveniently. And I say that both as a slight, but also pointing out, like, it's easy to do when I think his kids had graduated and gone to college.
Yeah.
He did not have kids to take care of. And that's not something to be poo-pooed.
Nope.
And he and his wife, though, to their credit, sold their house in not Santa Clarita. Anyway, I know Simi Valley area, moved up to the Bay Area in a churches as it gets, San Francisco, and started a network of home churches. My wife and I actually met someone who was a part of that. Danica got to know her. She was part of that group. She worked with Francis with his side thing as well, but also the church. She had nothing but great things to say about it. We thought about doing it for a while. We just happened to know somebody who was also doing it up in Fresno, and we didn't get cold feet. We just kind of told ourselves, like, this is a better model for big cities.
Yeah. There's somebody in our area that was actually Francis Chan's youth pastor for a time.
It's true. So he now has a network. He started his thing in San Francisco. It's now gone. He now has a home church or a network of home churches in San Francisco, East Palo Alto, which is south of San Francisco, yep. Fremont, which is same area, Bay Area, Hong Kong, Cleveland, Phoenix, Detroit, Davie, Florida, which is just west of Fort Lauderdale, which if you don't know where Fort Lauderdale is, it's 20 minutes north of Miami, Gallatin, Tennessee, which is northeast of Nashville. It's basically a suburb or an exurb of Nashville, Memphis, Tennessee, and Saltillo, Mexico.
And soon to be Tulare, because he's going to come and help us get our home church off the ground.
No, here's the thing. If you find this daunting, I would say reach out to them. Here's the thing, though, and this is where this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up what Chan's doing. There's a problem. There's two big problems. There's a problem with home church, but the solution to that could then lead to just replicating what we're already doing with Church Inc. So, what's the problem with home church? The home church is, look, you don't need someone with a PhD or a theology degree to lead church. You don't. But you do need someone mature who knows the Bible, who can lead people. There's a fine line between being a home church and turning into a cult. Or just being a group of people who are not really, there's no one mature leading the group to where you're actually, to use a Christian, you're disagreeing.
No, I'm not disagreeing. Well, I'm disagreeing. I mean,
there does have to be some structure.
Sure, but I mean, like you said, what's the difference between a home church and a cult? What's the difference between a Sunday service and a fucking cult?
Well, there's degrees, but that's fair. That's fair. But
all God's people
I know,
said,
but okay, that's fair. But your thing is taking away the point I'm trying to make.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It's just more of like, I have thoughts.
You and I have a friend who is a very good young man who was a very good junior high pastor, and then all of a sudden he went off the deep end.
Yeah.
Well, my point is, I don't want you and I to sound like two Pollyanna people who just think a bunch of Christians can get in a room and start talking about the Bible. There does have to be some, like, well, I'm going to use the word that Chan uses. There's got to be an elder in the room. And I don't mean like age-wise. There's got to be someone with some level of biblical discernment who knows not how to lead Colton's thinking.
Oh, are you wanting me to chime in already?
Well, you're thinking. You don't have to chime in right away.
I mean, I went, as in, I'm thinking, but I'm also disagreeing.
Okay.
So
I would say, look,
finish your argument.
The problem I'm raising is, it's not that you're going to go off. Okay. I think I'm overstating the problem. It's not, well, yes. The concern I have with home church isn't that you're going to turn into a cult. My concern is, if you don't have someone, and I don't have a solution to this. I'm just raising, again, my whole point is, I don't want to be Pollyanna about this and just be like, oh, home church is the solution. It has its problems, and I want to state them on this because we keep talking about home church and putting aside that both of us are hypocrites because we haven't started home church. We're going to keep pushing this. My bigger concern is you have a whole bunch of people. I already know what your answer is to this, but it's still not a comeback. It's still not a criticism. My concern is just starting a home church and you're replicating just having a bunch of, for the lack of a better term, childish Christians who aren't growing. And now you have a bunch of people, and yes, we're saving money, but you just have a bunch of people who are just infantile in their, and I don't mean that. No, that's what I mean. They're infantile in their faith. I'm not suggesting, I don't know what the fix is, because Colton's response is correct. How's that any different than most people who go to church? 100% true, which is why, and to that criticism, that is not sufficient. That is then not sufficient to say, well, the home church model doesn't work. No, it it should work. At least at the end of the day, we're not flushing tens of millions, billions of dollars down the toilet. Now, you and your sophomoric view of Christianity might be misapplying that money also, but at least it's, not $100,000, it's $10,000. So Chan's way around that is, I think if you want to join his network, he does have elders. That he has elders within either the specific church, or there's like multiple elders within, if there's like 5 churches in Memphis, there's a group of elders. Now, let me just stipulate, I love Francis Chan. I really love the guy. But he is, theologically, he is John MacArthur light. I mean, he literally went to John MacArthur's Bible school to get his degree. He is much more loving, to put it poorly, than John MacArthur, or at least he comes across, but he is as every much fundamentalist as John MacArthur.
He's fire and brimstone.
He's reform. He is as much as John MacArthur and what's his name up in Minneapolis, John Piper. He's in that same mold. They're all reform Christian. It's all very much fundamentalist. That said, Francis is much more tolerable, and I think it's done in a more loving way, but he's straight line, like, this is it.
Francis is Baptist for the 21st century.
There you go. That's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up because we had this big discussion in the last episode. If you didn't hear it, please go back and listen to it, because I think we started on religion and then walked again into the church changing.
I don't disagree with anything that you said. We've had discussions on the show about what are our credentials. Like, again,
oh yeah, I mean, we try to go out of our way to point out, like, we're just two dudes. I don't want anyone being like, well, the guys I listen to say this about the Bible. Like, oh, please don't quote me at all. Like, I'm, again, strong opinions, weakly held, both WEE and WEA held. So,
yeah, but what I'm telling you is also at the same time, I was like, you and I have had just as much experiences some pastors that are up on stage, or most of the pastors in the United States. And if you're the type that's like, well, mine needs to have a doctorate in, and if you're sitting there and saying, from our perspective, if you're hearing that and being like, okay, then I need to check the credentials of my pastor before I go into a church, and therefore they need to have a doctorate or whatever. I'm telling you that their doctorate in theology is, they're not actually spending a lot of, I was like, if you've never been in the educational world, you know that when it comes to doctorate, when it comes to master's work, when it comes to bachelor's degrees, I was like, you're becoming more and more specialized in those fields as you go on. Your doctoral studies is about expanding the field of study. I was like, if you have a pastor that has a doctorate in a particular element of theology, then he put an emphasis on an emphasis to therefore expand the knowledge that's currently being produced, or that's what he should have been doing. And so therefore he's actually not an expert in a lot of different areas that pastors are required, and not required by our world to know, but just or not required by God to know or anything. They've had to act like they're experts to you in areas of marriage counseling, children leadership, all these elements where they're like, I haven't fucking studied that. And I'm sorry, if you're sitting there and saying that the Bible is the number one answer for how to solve your marriage problems, that's not, I don't think that that's something that's healthy for you to be looking at. I'm not saying that the Bible can't offer great advice and there can't be good wisdom to learn through the scriptures through that, but I think that Tim and I have been extremely honest about, you need to go talk to somebody who has an expertise in that particular subject. And so we have these pastors that we're asking way too much of them, and we're asking them to be experts in this or that in Old Testament / New Testament. But again, when it comes to doctoralship, you're talking about looking at a very, very small, specific section. And so you get that from there. So I wouldn't necessarily put your eggs in that basket and be like, this is what I have to go find.
No.
Oh yeah. Is there anything you want to say on that?
This is why it's important to have conversations about things, because I could see how what I was saying could be construed as that way. So I'm glad what you said. Look,
well, and I was just getting to the elder bit, and I was talking about, well, and I mean, I just want to kind of, I was saying that when it comes to us and what it is that we're going through and what we're trying to talk about is, and where I talk about when it comes to the elders, is to where the elders can be anybody that just has life experience and has bought into the mission and vision of Christ. It doesn't have to be this whole thing. And that's where I don't feel imposter syndrome when I get on this microphone. And I don't think that Tim necessarily feels imposter syndrome, but I feel like there are lots of small group leaders and lots of people around the country, and even probably home church leaders that don't even know that they're in a home church, or didn't know that they're starting a home church thing because their pastor asked them to do a community group, and they're like, oh, okay. And they're just like, yeah. And they're just like, all right, let's get through this kind of thing. And they don't understand that they're leading a flock, and they get this imposter syndrome where it's like, I'm not who I say I am. I don't really know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that was the original church. That was what was going on in Acts. But, and it's so hard because, and what's so funny to me is, and I have no problem with getting back to, there are elements of what's going on in Acts that I get is to the heart of. I've spoken out against where it's like, oh, they're doing this, they're giving up all their property, they're doing all of this. That's I kind of call that the Hume Lake thing, because in Hume Lake growing up, they would always talk about these guys that had given up everything to be a homeless man in San Diego. By the way, homeless man in San Diego. Bo's not giving up everything to be a homeless man in fucking Detroit. No, he's gonna be a homeless man in San Diego. All right.
Yeah, at least when I can't remember the dude's
got
name.
it. You
the guy who wrote
surfing.
the book where he quit the church and was dealing with the homeless in Philly. At least, oh man, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know that. I love that guy.
Philly's hardcore. It's hot and it's extremely hot and cold.
That's right.
And it's Philly.
So
it's New Yorkers with an extra chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, with less championships on their shoulder. So we used to go to Hume Lake, and they'd be like, yeah, you got to sell everything. You got to be this X, Y, and Z to be for God and that kind of stuff. And that can be super disheartening because you're like, well, I'm not this or I'm not that and blah, blah, blah. But I think that there are lots of people, and even Tim and I are elders, and not elders in like our age. Although Tim did celebrate a birthday this week.
I did, but no one celebrated with me.
Bitch, you said that we're celebrating Saturday. Are we not celebrating Saturday?
I don't know.
You didn't send out anything?
I did not. We'll talk about it later.
I already talked to my wife about it, and I'm supposed to be over here on Saturday night, so.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it later.
I was like, you want to go get dinner on Saturday night? Or
we'll talk about it later.
So all that to say, I feel like there's lots of elements to go through this, but to what it is that you were speaking about when you're talking about these elders and you're talking about representation, I think that there's a lot of people out there that have this imposter syndrome, and I'm letting you know that your experiences and what you have growing up, and you may be starting off with a small group or whatever, you have what it takes as long as you continue to buy into the mission and vision of Jesus Christ. And you can sit there and say, I don't know all the answers. I don't. And that's okay. You're like, and that's the hard part. You've heard me say on this podcast before that I've also spoken out about, I don't know if we should be promoting reading the scriptures because it seems to be causing bigger problems. But if you know that if you are able to find out or know for yourself that you can get a good, I think that the people that should be leading small groups are the people that have a good understanding of who God's character is throughout the scriptures. If you are able to have a complete understanding of that, or at least a majority understanding of that, then I think that you're able to lead a small group or lead a home church, because you can sit there and say, and you can look through that lens to be able to see God, and then therefore you are able to answer any particular question through that perspective and then go from there. I don't know. Do you disagree or?
No, I'm just thinking about the last. I was maybe going to quibble with the last little bit you said, but it's very much a like minor quibble. No, we have. If I was going to sum up Christianity in America right now, we have two extreme problems. Just as a generalization, it is, and I hear this. This is prominent. This is very prominent on the internet. On like when you hear non-pastors, people who are Christians but aren't actually hear it. This is common. It's not just common in Christian circles. It's common in everything. And I roll my eyes anytime I hear it. Is I'm not a PhD, or I'm not a theologian, or I don't have a theology degree, but blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
we need to get away from that. If anything is a modern creation, it is I have to have some kind of fucking degree that a school that might not even be Christian gave me that says I now have some certificate that says that I know something about the Bible. That is not at all Christianity. So I have that one extreme where, well, I'm not a theologian or I'm not blah, blah, blah. Have you read your Bible? Yes. There you go. We have that extreme. And then the other extreme is my worldview as explained to me through such and such. And this is, I would say, is a big problem amongst, and I'm using evangelical circles in a very broad sense, but anybody who's a mainline Protestant in the United States probably, I mean, I probably suffered from this. There was a time where I suffered through this, where, you find yourself quoting the worst, Rick Warren, John MacArthur, John Piper, Francis Chan, the really good guy who died, who was up in New York, who led the church in New York City, the Presbyterian guy. Like, if all you're doing is regurgitating what they're telling you, and you've read a bunch of books and they're explaining you the Bible, that's not what this is. Because the problem is, this is the problem that I find in this. It's not that they're wrong. In particular, the guy, I cannot remember his name, who was up in New York City, who started basically like revived church in downtown Manhattan, the Presbyterian. He's very good at speaking to college kids, died of cancer a couple years ago. Anyway, he's not wrong. Tim Keller. Tim Keller is right about a lot of things, most things. Greg Boyd is great about most things. The problem is these people, sir, provide you a level of certainty in your Christianity, and then you get very stuck in your way. This is where I think fundamentalism comes out of. It doesn't come out of you reading the Bible. It's because someone told you this is 100% what the Bible says, and you have to believe it. Greg Boyd's not really this. He will tell you what he believes. He's also very good at explaining this is what the church has traditionally believed. This is what evangelicals believe. This is maybe what fundamentalists, like he explains everything, and he very fairly argues how he sees things differently.
He's a college professor in that way, but he's also crazy. So
He's also crazy. He's also crazy Anabaptist.
Yeah, he's
like
crazy
us,
Anabaptist.
Which is why we like him. But you listen to most, and it is, they are writing with the certainty of John writing his, John writing the book of John.
Yeah.
And the people who read that and go to their church or they're part of the church circuit that belongs to the John Piper group or whatever, they are then certain about that. And it is as much as it is certainty about, again, this is why we picked weekly held as our catchphrase, because too many Christians are, this is the way it is, and if not,
it's my way or the highway.
It's my way or the highway, then you're not a believer.
You're not a believer, you're going to hell.
And 9 times out of 10, it's not because you actually read the Bible, it's because you read some dude who's got a very modern spin on the Bible, 100-year, maybe 200-year interpretation of Christianity.
It's cute that you say 200-year.
And I'm being very generous.
You got 1,000-year perspective.
And I would say most of what we're reading is 100 years old, but like, and we run around like this is the true Christian faith, and Catholics, fuck Catholics, and all the crazy stuff that Protestants believe, and all the no. And if we actually got to a home church thing, I think we'd be much more humble. To take it back to where I started, though, is, and this is where the Bible comes in, and we point out where we can get over our skis on using the Bible. I think what is instructive about everything from Acts to Titus, Philemon, up until Revelation, is that you need an elder. This is where the elder comes in. It's not telling me what to believe. There needs to be an elder. Again, yes, I would say in our day and age, it's someone who's older, they're wiser, they've seen things. They might have had an idea about divorce when they were younger, and then they had a kid who got divorced in her 30s, and now they're like, yeah, you know what? I still love my child in the same way the father loved the prodigal son, and now I don't have as much of a... You need an elder that you can lean on when your little home church is going to have an issue, to say like, yeah, maybe that's not an issue to worry about. Or yes, you're struggling to understand this passage of the Bible, but maybe that's not important because it's not fundamental to the faith, or whatever it is. Because if you don't have an elder, then yes, you can turn into a home church of a bunch of crazy people, or just a bunch of childish people. And that doesn't solve the problem in the church. Yes, mainline churches have that problem. This is just the point of me bringing this up, is to try to think of ways to where home church can be the best. It's not trying to like straw. And I know you're not saying this, but it's not like, look, believe me, I imagine a lot of people who are wedded to Church Inc. are using this kind of be like, well, then you can't do this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, you want to straw man that? Like, all right, walk into your average church and you got, what crackpot thing are you talking about? I mean, on your average Sunday, in a third to a 40% of the churches, you got people talking about like your wealth is tied to your Christianity. I mean, which is just straight up Pharisee shit. I mean, that is straight up. You want to talk about prosperity gospel is literally what Jesus was railing against in the New Testament. That was one of his number one problems, which is you think you're good, you think you're wealthy, and you think you're an elder, and you think you're great because you somehow followed the law better. You literally think that you're not sick because that person sinned and you didn't. So So what's all that to say? That's all that to say is I'm still, I'm hoping that you and I kick this around long enough and we get a good group of people. I do kind of hope we start like a home church at some point. I'm not ready to do it. You're not ready to do it. You have 2 kids, young kids. I've got too many things going on.
I think we already have one. I don't know.
I mean like an actual look. I do think there's something about getting together as families and Sundays and or a day of the week, and it's more than just the 2 of us.
Yeah, I still believe that we need to do dinners as opposed to breakfasts.
Well, that'll work. But all that to say, whatever you do
it for the Lord.
Do it for the Lord. Doesn't mean I'm not telling you. Oh, Tim said you need to have a 65-year-old retired man. No. In fact, it's probably someone outside of your group that you need to lean on, who's open to the idea of look, this is a hard thing. And I'm not saying don't do it unless you have an elder that you have to lean on, but just understand these are the pitfalls. These are the pitfalls. And this is actually an area which we haven't discussed, I don't think at all. If anything, I think it's a big ask to have someone stand up on a Sunday and say, like Francis Chan, that's like monumental. And let's also be honest, Francis Chan could do that because he had 5 books at that point who'd sold a lot of books.
Yeah,
he wasn't taking a salary from that. I'm sure he was giving a lot of that money away. And maybe when he started that thing, which good for him. I mean, this is not a criticism.
No.
That gave him the ability to have a whole bunch of money to start the thing, which is positive because he didn't have to go out and get it from investors, quote unquote. Yes, they're donating the money because I don't care if it's donations or not. Now you have men or women with a lot of money who you're now accountable to of being like, well, I thought this was going to be this way and I thought this was going to be this way. And how are we growing and blah, 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 blah. Whereas if it's his money, he's flushing down the toilet, he doesn't have to worry about growth rates. But you get a bunch of business people in the room, particularly in San Francisco, who are part of the .com startups or something. They're probably going to have some chart in front of them, be like, where's our growth this year? Well, we're not growing. And I can cite you some verse in the New Testament that says about growth. So we're going to shut this whole thing down. Anyway, that's a rant. I think the really good model is to have a pastor in a city. It could be as small as ours, which is 75,000, 70,000 Tulare, 220 between Visalia and Tulare. A dude with the guts to say, if it's not working out for you, go start a home church. And you know what? We'll throw support at you because it's no skin off my nose. Because I'm not here to build such and such church. I'm here to build the kingdom. That would be awesome.
100%.
But they're not. I mean, most of them, because they're going to be like, well, we have that. We have small groups. Why haven't you done small groups? You can do small groups, blah, 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 blah. So just being like,
I don't know. I still struggle with this. I do think, I don't know. I've been going to church the past couple of weeks.
I have not been in months. Which is actually, it's now just to be, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just got it. We rail against church. We complain about church. I have not been, it's probably 6 months. And as much as I have a problem with church, it's a problem now. And I had to apologize to my wife today and just be like, I'm not being a good spiritual leader. Like, it's not good for me to just perfectly well, let's just not go. I mean, I have my problems with the church. The church we're going to right now is too far away. It has no connection to my community. Hardly any. As much as I love neighborhood, there is something about being too far away and you can't connect. No one that goes to that church really lives near me. There's no small groups near me. It's a problem. And so we've thought about looking at churches we've thought about going back to the church that we've tried to not mention and go back to there just because it's closer. Because at the end of the day, the 20 minutes that the pastor's talking about doesn't matter. It's being around people that you connect with. And we have just not connected with anybody in the neighborhood. I love that church. We still give to it because I believe they have a mission and vision and they follow it. So we have not gone for a while. It's a problem. And we need to go. And not because it's Christmas season. Christmas season's overrated. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think that was a good thing to say. I've been going the past couple weeks, and I've been going for lots of different reasons. I mean, one, I need to get my ass up on a Sunday morning. Two, I do believe in what we've talked about before, that there is something in the religious practice.
Yeah.
There is something in the practice of religion. So therefore, yes, going and actively showing that you are a participant in this religious practice, whether you don't like the music, do like the music, like the pastor, don't like the pastor, there is something in that motion that is good for your soul. And as somebody who's raising kids, it's good for them to see you there practicing that religiously. And so that's kind of been a harder part for me. I mean, it's not a hard part. Like, listen, I mean, water polo season is so hard to get up on a fucking Sunday. Like, I've been working 12-hour days. And so I savor those 2 days so much. And I just got asked today if I want to be an assistant coach for swim. I'm giving it consideration. This is somebody who's kicked off their swim team in high school.
Only take that job only if it's a value add for your water polo team.
Yeah, well, and it's like, I don't know.
Otherwise,
the assistant gig doesn't sound too bad because I don't got to deal with parents. I don't got to deal with any of it.
Yeah, but it's still time. And again, if it's only just kids swimming around and you're not going to get
Well, I told Audrey
better swimmers on your water polo team, or 2 or 3 more kids who wouldn't have played water polo because they swim, then what's the point? I'm sure the money they're paying you isn't worth it.
I told Audrey, I was like, man, I was like, if we do this though, then if I do it, then I don't have to pay for a gym membership because I can just go out to swim practice and just swim for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And there we go. Because I've been thinking that I need to get a gym membership, and I just want a gym membership. My gym that's closest to me in Visalia, they have 2 pools. One's an indoor pool, and nobody uses it hardly at all.
Is it with the purple?
It's In Shape.
In Shape.
Yeah.
What's the purple one?
Yeah, and hardly anybody uses the indoor swimming pool that's in there. And I'm like, I'd go and use it. I'd go and I'll just swim there for an hour because I want to stay in shape for water polo season. So
you don't want to repeat this year.
Oh man, that was good. Hey, by the way, I'm just saying I was number 2 I was number 2 to the wall every time when season was over. So I had caught back up. I can't catch my number 1. My number 1 was a little too fast for me. But there were some times where if he had a game and it was a rough game the night before and I got my rest, I could beat him every single time that we went to the wall. I mean, you could tell it bothered him, which is good for him that he has that little competitive edge. But yeah,
that's an ideal time for a man, because I think most of us think we're at our peak at 18. And that's not really true. Like, there's like, even myself, I didn't grow height wise, but I just like, my muscle, most of us, the muscle actually kicks in after 18.
Yeah, that's how it was for me.
I think it's ways for most of us. That's why everyone just assumes like, well, that they didn't lift weights in high school. It's like, no, you actually mature. Well, there's still a little more like growing. Again, you might not be growing in inches, but like, you're like, your body's figuring out how to put more muscle mass on it.
Actually, what I'm going to
You just took your class, so you probably know that.
Well, no, actually, I'm going to tell you, I was like, you are correct, You are correct for Caucasian males. You are correct.
But that's just racist.
That
makes sense.
I was about to say that
African Americans peak earlier. It starts earlier.
African Americans start earlier and peak earlier. That's why most African American. I was like, look at the NFL, see how many African Americans continue past their 30s into the NFL.
That's interesting.
Versus white guys. Why do towns in our area have really good JV football? And I was like, football's your language, so let's talk football. Why do towns in our area have really good JV teams with only all Mexican players? Because all Mexican players actually peak. Mexicans actually peak way earlier.
Oh, that's the case in Southern California. So we would play Fillmore. We would play Fillmore, which if you don't know, Fillmore is this little tiny town north of Los Angeles. If you know where Magic Mountain is, north of Los Angeles, it's like 20 minutes west of there, northwest. So it's more west than north. It's orange country. They still grow a lot of oranges. Like Sunkist owns all these orchards around there. It is all Mexican, quote unquote. And we played them. They weren't in our league, but when I coached football, we played them literally every year. It was like we had to deal with them like we're both a non-conference game. And the joke was they were always shorter, but bigger. And they were shorter, bigger, and more physical than we were. Because it was all a bunch of Hispanic kids. So they were all like 5'6" to 5'8", but big. They had good offensive lines. They could run pretty well. They weren't ever a threat to pass the ball, but you knew you were going to go up there or they were going to come to us and it was going to be so 100%. I totally see that.
Yeah. Mexicans, but a lot of programs around our area where it's like you look at Selma High School where football is life in Selma, but yet for some reason they can't seem to get a varsity team that can string together wins but their JV team can go undefeated or have whatever, but that's because they hit peaks in the 9th, 10th. But then as the white boys and black boys start to mature, their bodies start to mature, then now the playing field starts to even out where it's now, well, and no offense to the Hispanics, you now have taller, faster competition coming.
It is what it is.
It's
only offense because we as a society overvalue athletics. So, whatever. We value the kind of athletics we value.
But nobody sat there and evaluated body maturity and talked about how this is how male body athletics have actually worked for years and years and years, where again, this is why Caucasian males are able to play through into their 40s. Shout out LeBron James for being one of those that's the African Americans that are able to make it into their 40s. Basketball is a little bit different than football, but again, that's
so what I was saying, that's the second tangent to my tangent, which was a tangent to what you were talking about.
Yeah. But somehow
the sweet spot is when you're in your 20s and you're still old, you're still physically fit. You're physically fit, but also physically superior to an 18 to 20-year-old. Yeah. There's something particularly gratifying for that. Well, it's not particularly gratifying. It's very obvious because 18, 20-year-olds think that's peak. Like, I'm at my peak. And they should. That is like, I think just mind-wise, that is the brain evolution or whatever you want to call it. Like that, this is the age to go out and like spread my sperm, conquer mountains, go kill things, blah 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 blah. But to be like 10 years older and still be like physically more like this, just is. I remember
Tupac has a statement on this.
I remember the last year I did a turkey bowl. We would do an unsanctioned. It was unsanctioned, but it was known. Like my head coach knew I did it, but it was also 100% like somebody gets hurt, it's on you. So I'm just letting you know. I don't know about it, but I know about it. So if something happens, it's your fault. We would do an unsanctioned turkey bowl of me and my friends and some of the other coaches on the football team against former players.
Yeah.
And the first year we did it the year we won a CIF championship. Won the whole thing, set state titles for offense, all kinds of stuff. And those kids went out there and thought they were just going to clean old man. And I was like, I don't know, 22, but 16-year-old thinking he's an old man. And I'm out there like doing tackles where I'm picking people up and putting them down. And yeah, I'm getting run over too. I mean, I don't want to make it like I was like dominating the whole thing, but like, you know, the longer the game goes along, this turkey bowl on Thanksgiving, like, oh, coach has got game. And so there's something about that. We're just being like, yeah, you know what? I can outswim you. I might be older and I got 2 babies now, but guess what? I can still outswim your ass. So go take that.
You can outswim your ass. I can communicate.
So anyway, we were talking about church.
Well, actually, wait a minute. Before
getting up.
Yeah, getting up. So, you know, there's something to that religious process of being a part of it. And so I've been going. And I mean, like, there's elements that I can't replace with the home church. My daughter and my son are in a children's church program that's associated with their age. Reese gets dropped off with her 2-year-olds, and she gets to go and be a 2-year-old with a bunch of other 2-year-olds. In a home church, she'll have a good time with the people that are around her and that kind of stuff, but she doesn't get experience with her peers and that kind of stuff. So it's like, all right, like, I can't always replicate that. Same thing with Jackson. Although, I mean, at this point, Jackson, we take Jackson to church with us until he's able to move. Basically, you know, we don't take him to the nursery unless he's able to move. So he goes to church with us. He takes a nap. He's an old man when it comes to church. He falls asleep in church. And I mean, like, I've been going because, again, and I go because I know that it's important to my wife. I know that it's important to my life that I go and I submit. There is an element of the submission through that. And I submit in other ways. And sometimes, like, the podcast is a submission where I submit to that this is what I need to do. This is where I need to be. And not that I don't like the podcast or getting on here or whatever, but again, and I'm in a Christ-centered environment where it is constantly going to be that centered around Christ. I still say that Kauai and here are still some of the most wholesome relationships, and or this is what church is supposed to be like elements. But is it always Christ-centered? No. And so, I mean, is it Christ? No. I mean, I don't even want to go there. Like,
no, I mean, that's with Kauai in particular, the problem is it becomes Christ-centered when it organically the conversation comes up. But there's no, you and I have certainly never shown up with like some intentional desire to make or agenda, because it would be out of place and it wouldn't work because the people that really were trying, you know, it would fail.
Yeah, and the agenda,
and that is the thing with church.
It would fail. Like, I don't do it because I fear failure in that instance. It's just more of like,
well, if failure in terms
yeah. If I came in there with a purpose, it wasn't going to work. But I come in there with an open heart and an open mind.
It's not a venue for it's not that the Christianity's. It's not a venue for anything being intentional. Like if you're getting in your car going to Kauai on a Friday, and you're like, damn it, I'm going to talk about this. Unless you know there's 2 or 3 other people, like it's some hot topic, like what Nolan and I are going to talk about tomorrow, which is the NASCAR lawsuit. It's going to go down it's probably going to end up being a very disappointing conversation or not a conversation at all. So, which is where church provides that. Part of me does. I'm going to be you normally in these conversations. When you say, you know, the thing about the kids, and I just wonder if what the kids actually need emulated is just an hour of watching mom and dad have a meal with friends.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, I still want that. Like, that's so.
And it's not Sunday you're not wrong. And I think I'm glad you said what you said, because I don't want you and I to sound like F church. It's a waste of time.
I still think that
And I don't think we've ever sounded like that, but it was good for you to say, like, there's something, even though Christianity, we talked about it on the last episode, Christianity is not a religion, but as you said, I religiously follow Jesus. There is something, we can complain about how the church was built on blah, 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 blah. It's built on Roman church practices or blah, blah, whatever.
I think that what we need is a koinonia.
Ooh, big word. Big Christian word. Great word. But you need to say what that means.
I mean, it means a Christian. It was the original term for the church, where it's a gathering of Christians that get together, and not as a holy huddle. That's not what it is. But it's what we're talking about, where it's the sharing of a meal together, where it's a let's get together and let's not even necessarily. It's not a Bible study. It's a Kawia Friday night. It's a whatever. But we need to recognize that those are koinonias. They're not church, they're koinonias.
We do. The thing about Kauai is close. The problem with Kauai is there's other people there. And there's been instances where Danica and I have had maybe something come up as a family. And she knows I want to talk about it with Andy. Andy's always a really good person to bounce it off. And I'll come back from Kauai and she says, you should talk to Andy? No. Why not? I don't know. There's a lot of people there. It was crowded tonight or whatever. Like the problem with Kauai is it's still public and it's close though. But we need something like that. That's really what home church is. Home church is a meal, and someone be able to say, like, to use the phrase in old school, there's a trust tree. There's a trust tree. There's a trust tree with the 6 or 8 or 12 or 20 people you have in this room. And they don't have big mouths, which is that's a big ask, because a lot of people seem like they don't have big mouths, and then they do. That's the problem with the home church. If home church is going to work, you got people who don't have big mouths, because that is the home church works not because you're reading Psalm and you're trying to figure out, did David write this? Did Solomon? Like, who wrote this? Or who are these people that God's speaking to at the beginning of Job? That's not where home church kicks in. Because, I mean, people have been arguing that for 2,000 years, and I don't think anybody still knows. It is being able to come in and say, I'm really mad at my wife, and she's sitting right next to me when I say this. I'm really mad at my wife, or I'm really mad at my husband because they did this. And it's not going to leave the room. But you know what you get? You're really mad, and what you get is 3 or 4 people be like, I understand you're mad, and you're a dumbass because you made her feel mad, but you need to get over it, because that's what being a Christian means. You don't get to just be a wife that just gets mad about what your husband did, or vice versa.
Yep.
Or guess what, man? You really fucked up on this one, and she's got every right to be mad. She's going to be mad for a while, and just get over it. And don't make this about you, because you screwed up. But just keep coming, and we're going to love both of you.
It's one step at a time.
And, that kind of solves the beginning part of this. That solves the whole elder thing. It's you need to have a couple people in the room who are adult enough to where, I mean, small groups are hard enough. And we even had this in the one time we did small. Let's see if Colton, there's an easy answer to this. Let's see if Colton can get it. What is the number one problem with any small group or home church? Or what is the characteristic that is the killer of small group or home church of a person or people?
Well, I was like, I don't know if it's necessarily what you are getting at, but I would say it's the person that is the leech, or the person that like saps all of the energies.
Ding, 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 ding. 100%. They come in different forms.
Are you saying that we had those
Maybe. Yeah, I am, because that person's not listening. And the person that was in our home group is probably right now laughing and saying 100%. Yeah, the problem with there is always if you're gonna start a home group, small church, home church, understand this is gonna be your number one issue is not trying to figure out like what Jesus meant when he was talking about such and such in a strange parable, because we've boiled down Jesus's parables to like 3, and we've forgotten about like the 20 others where he's very cryptic. That's not going to be your problem. It's going to be someone who is always more ill than everybody else, has more family problems than someone else, has more work problems than someone else. That's usually it's a one-upper. It's usually a one-upper. That would be my best way to phrase your problem in your group is a one-upper. And they manifest themselves in both ways, which is someone shows up and says, I'm really struggling with this problem.
My problems are worse.
And then they're
yours.
like, oh, I had that problem, but my problem was 10 times worse. And then they talk about their problem for 10 minutes when what we're trying to deal with is Susie's problem. But now you've distracted us back to your problem, which we've either talked about for 20 times or now it's a new problem manifesting itself.
Actually, that's my favorite. Just because,
or they just always have to be the last word in the conversation. It's one of those two things, but usually it's a one-upper. Oh, you think that's a problem? Well, I had this.
Shout out to the one-uppers, man.
So in the last actual small group that we had at our previous church, which Andy was a part of, Andy and his wife Trish, the fair Trish. Love you, Trish. Even though I don't say it every time I walk in your house, I do love you.
The fair Trish. Wow, this is getting Shakespearean.
We had a lady in there who just couldn't let go of something like a dog. Like she had a grievance about a family member.
Naturally.
And it managed to find its way into every conversation. But I will say this. I'll say this, and this is why it's good to actually be in smaller settings and not, yes, it's good to go to church every Sunday. There's a ritual to it. I think that ritual matters. As I said, I feel like my wife and I are missing something spiritually by just not going, and I apologized to her, and I actually repented to God today. I'm not kidding. I actually had a moment where I was like, you know what? I'm really screwing up here, God. Those of us in the small group we never really said anything. We just let her get it out of her system week after week after week. And you know what? She eventually just kind of got over it. Or at least she appeared to. Because you know what she needed? She just needed a vent.
Yep.
She was an older woman. Her husband had, I think, died. She was a single woman, but she was older. I mean, the person she was upset with was a grown-ass adult. So it wasn't like she wasn't grieving against a 12-year-old. It was like a grown-ass man. She had a problem with her son. They were both grown adults, I think, and her husband had died, so she's by herself. She had no one to grouse to. She just needs someone to gripe to for a while. And no one was sitting there going like, well, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that, or maybe you should pray. Or you know what? Proverbs so-and-so says this. It's just like, just vent and vent and vent. And then after a while, she softened. And I think it was partially because she got to vent.
Yep.
No one's trying to fix her. But also, she heard other people, because she wasn't the only one dealing with things. There were other people in the group dealing with actually much bigger issues.
Yep.
Deal with issues and just be like, oh, yeah. Because I got to tell you, being retired and single, there's nothing more like out of touch than that, or can be. Single and retired. You're not in a work environment, and you're single because either you're divorced or your husband died or you just never married. Like that is about as out of touch with reality as it gets.
Yep.
I'm not working and I'm single. And so, to be around people who are younger, we're like, I've got a career change. I got this going on. I got shithead at work that I'm either answering to or working for me, or I got shithead kid number 2. It's just like, oh, yeah, All right. And the model right now, so to your point, this is where you and I would both agree modern church is not working. It's just not working because most Christians are showing up on Sunday and they're not getting what I just talked about. They're just getting the ritual part, which is fine. It's keeping them in touch, but they're not getting any enrichment. They're not getting encouragement, or they're not getting like, you're being a dick about this and you need to get over your grievance, because they're not around people. And you can just say like, well, just join a small group. That's harder. That's not easy.
No.
At the church we were at before, we were in, I think, 3 small groups, and the one that we did, the last one we were in, which is the one I'm talking about, was the only one that we connected in. And to the point where when our small group ended, that is the group that kept doing our soup kitchen, because it wasn't just because we decided we fell in love with the soup kitchen. We all liked each other and was like, this is a way to keep this going on Saturday mornings. Most other people at that church, if we're being really honest, the small groups that work is because those people were teachers together, professionals in the same, they're realtors together. They lived literally in the same cul-de-sac or neighborhood, like literally cul-de-sac.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Those are great, but most of us don't have that. And you mentioned earlier, when I mentioned elders, you didn't really pull on this, but you kind of said it, but we didn't pull on. We didn't like address. I think we need to make a point of this, and then we'll wrap it up because we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, half of that was all sports talk. So.
The defense of home church is, it is no more claptrap than what your average church is doing to pick what the home group, the small group leader is. And you said that, but we didn't go and you said it, and then we didn't pull on that thread anymore. But I think we need to pull on that thread. I can tell you, not just from the church that we've left, but every church that I've been involved with as an adult, there is no more. The thought of who's going to lead a small group is a popularity contest. There is no. If you're telling me that your pastor and his staff and the elder board or the board or whoever the lay people are got together in a room and prayed over it and then came back a week later with a group of a name, you are lying to yourself. It is as claptrap as a fucking lottery at your average church. Oh, well, so-and-so's got time. So-and-so's popular. People seem to like so-and-so. Blah, 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 blah. Or so-and-so and their friends all get together. There is no level of spiritual discernment to your average small group leader. It's a dude and a gal. They've been given a book and they've been thrown into it.
Yeah.
And what's worse is, if they are popular and they've been at the church, as you mentioned this word, they have a veneer of eldership that is not earned.
Right.
It's just time served. But they might have as much claptrap bullshit ideas about Christianity and be as shallow as someone who just gave their life to Christ and got baptized in a river the day before.
Right.
But they've been there a while, and people seem to love them. Oh, and they give a lot of money to church.
Yep. Easy win. Easy in.
Which is, I think, why you and I get really frustrated with, like, Acts being used as some sort of, like, it's always thrown around as a model for the church. And the more you dig, you're like, look, folks, let's just all agree. Like, we're not doing anything closely
The issue that I have with Acts being used.
No. Let me just say, like, I'm not saying, like, I'm just saying, if you're going to use Acts as a model, you're not even doing it well.
Yeah, you're not. But I mean, okay, so I think that the use of Acts has been within the last decade. That's been a part of the home church maybe the last 2 decades. I feel like the use of early acts talking about this is what the church is supposed to look like, that kind of stuff. I think there's lots of people that would have quoted Romans for what the church is supposed to look like. They would have quoted X, Y, and Z, but I think that, and I was like, I think that Acts at the beginning. And my pushback is just more of when people talk about the response of that is just more. It's really frustrating because again, those people legitimately believe. So when they became this like commune, which I don't have a better term for it than the commune of Jerusalem, basically. They became the commune of Jerusalem, and then they were like, wait a minute, this doesn't work. Or this isn't going to work if Jesus doesn't come back in like five or more days, because then we're going to go hungry. So then how do we make things work? And so they're navigating, how do we create a church with what we have as to what we know now, which is fine. But don't sit there and quote these guys in Acts and say, look at their devotion, look at their need for God, look at what they gave up for God. That's what I was kind of getting at with the whole Hume Lake situation, is where it's like, again, that's kind of been the ideal. And again, that's not replicable from the standpoint of, again, all those people in Acts believe that Jesus was legitimately coming back every single day. Now, you can sit there and say, well, the scriptures say that that's how we're supposed to treat every single day. That's great that you quote that. You don't actually live your life that way.
No.
At that point, you would sell all your fucking possessions. There's no reason for having them.
Right.
But yet you have to live / sustain yourself, and therefore create the opportunities to therefore have a ministry. And the way that it works in the United States is that you must have a career, therefore you are able to support the mission / vision of Jesus Christ, because you need to have money in order enough to do it, which is counterintuitive to what Acts was talking about. But I guarantee you they're not talking about the millions of dollars that are spent on things that are inconsequential. So that's where I agree with the moving towards Acts and getting back to that whole idea of we're getting back to a simpler time, to a time of a bunch of people that aren't pastors that have studied the scriptures for years and years and years and years and years. It's people that are sitting. We don't have the Pharisees now in charge. We have people that are just like, hey, we heard about this mission and vision of Jesus Christ, and we're all in on it. And so let's navigate this together. And they get guidance from Paul, which is, again, that kind of elder, which I don't mind that statement. But again, it's not somebody sitting in there and being like, are you doing this right? Are you doing this right? Are you doing this right? So I don't know. That's what I have to say. I was like, you bit your lip, so.
Well, we'll wrap up on this, and that might be repeating myself from earlier. I agree with you with Acts. I would say Acts is my issue with how the church treats Acts and the epistles is most of it is distilled as a how-to guide to either run a church, which is really bad.
How to run a 21st century church.
How to run a 21st century church, or what Jesus didn't say but really meant as to what it meant to be a Jesus follower. And so now we're going to add 20 different rules to what it means to be a Jesus follower. So if you're a church that has a woman in charge, then you're not really a Jesus church. Of course, that contradicts another church that was run by a woman. So square that, sexist.
That's right. Fuck you, sexist.
When actually, again, if you don't read your Bible broken down by chapter and verse, I would say the more holistic lesson from Acts through the epistles to, and then we have our psychedelic psychedelic book of Revelation. The better understanding of that is how messy it is to be a Christian and to be in a church.
Yeah.
And the church had had Paul and Peter to lean on for guidance, which tells us we need to find people like Peter and Paul to lean on. But following Jesus is messy, and having a group of people doing it is messy. And actually, again, going back to this female thing, all things don't apply to all churches. You have in one church, Paul telling a church, women are not allowed to be leaders in this church. And if you understand the historical nature of that particular church,
the context of
the women
where they were
the
at,
women in that church literally could not read. They could not read. Therefore, they did not know the scripture of the Old Testament, what we would call the Old Testament, which was being used even in the early church as some sort of guidance. They were not educated. They were not in a position to be challenging the educated men in the church to say, we shouldn't be doing worship this way. We shouldn't be doing worship that way, blah, 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 blah. And Paul is saying, pipe down.
Well, that's interesting. You went for that approach. I was like, that's not even the one that I would go for.
Whereas Lydia is educated.
I was going to say that the reason why I was going to go for the more contextual reason as to why Paul said that women cannot lead in this particular church, and again, very particular church, is because that the temple of Artemis was within that city.
The judges will also accept this answer.
And so therefore the women of, I don't think that people understand what that means. If you don't remember your mythology lessons, and if you don't remember your mythology from 6th grade, that's okay. Let me explain to you who Artemis was. Artemis is the goddess of the hunt. She's the Amazonian. She's the Amazon. It's often associated with Athena because a lot of people have gone with the whole, you've watched too much Wonder Woman.
Yes.
But actually the goddess of the hunt.
They are the females with more testosterone.
Yeah, so her background is it's only females only. She takes no pleasure in males. There's none of that. And as a part of her temple, which was the largest temple
in Corinth, or Ephesus,
in Greece.
No. But it was the largest one in Greece. But I can't remember. Was it in Corinth or Ephesus? It was one of the two. It was in the city that had the most temples.
And so she has, and it's multiple acres of property that is all just female prostitutes.
Correct. Yeah.
And all female. And so this is where, and this particular letter to this city is the crackdown on female leadership. This is where women have to wear head coverings in church. This is where Paul is having to put these limitations because of this other thing that is having to be dealt with within this city. You were dealing with the largest temple in Greece.
You don't want the church you don't want Christianity to be associated with sex and religion.
And they were actively trying to infiltrate that.
And this is where the don't separate yourself from the culture and all that kind of stuff that's talked about in Acts in various places.
Yeah,
whereas Lydia in another church is a leader. No, is it Lydia? Not Lydia.
Yeah. It may not be Lydia, but the seller of purple or the.
There's another. It's not Lydia. It's another female. There is a female mentioned elsewhere, and it's not Lydia. It's something else. She is mentioned as an elder at a church because there in that city, that is not a problem.
Yeah, it's Lydia. Lydia.
That's right.
Of Thyatira.
That's right. How did we get on this?
No, we're talking about the home church and Acts.
Yes. when I look at Acts from, again, like Titus or whatever, this isn't we've turned the whole Bible from Genesis to Revelation into a playbook, a rule book. It's a playbook and a rule book, or
This is not a
prophecy of something that's going to happen, some certainty of what's going to happen. It's one of those three things. That's not what it is. For most of it, that's not what it is. And from Acts, the Acts and the epistles, yes, there's some good instruction in there. There's some good wisdom in there, but mostly it's just about a bunch of Christians trying to figure out what is it from what we've been told Jesus said, does this possibly mean? Because Jesus spoke in riddles. And look, we see this today. When Jesus says love one another, that's a great thing. But there's such a thing as toxic love, right?
Yes.
One can love someone to the point where it becomes toxic.
Yes.
My son is an addict, but I'm going to love him unconditionally. Now that's being toxic. That's toxic love. And we're literally struggling with this right now. And if you're looking to the Bible to figure that out, then your Bible's not going to answer that. This is where modern people have to try to struggle with what Jesus said to come up with, how do I deal with this problem? And that's really what Acts and everything else is. So, and again, churches are no better equipped to deal with this than home church is, because probably it's your average evangelical church, some pastors standing up there giving you some all-encompassing wisdom on how to deal with your kid who's transgender or a drug addict or plays video games too much and is basing it on some esoteric book of the Bible that has no relation. Or, as we've said a million times on here, I mean, divorce is the nuclear code for that. So, look, I'm not going to apologize. This is always going to be a common theme for the podcast, because I think
we know that it's right.
We know that's right. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize if we talk about it, and I'm also not going to apologize because in our world, quote unquote, Colt and I are hypocrites because we're not doing it, because this isn't going to, like, you and me doing home church isn't going to change anything. Like, I think it's more important that you and I talk about it, and hopefully the 100 people who listen to this podcast talk about it, and they start talking about it. Like, if you're at school, talk about it, and just people just.
But you talk about but like we talk
let
about.
me just say, the Protestant Luther just didn't wake up one day and go out and publish his theses. They had been talked about. We don't read about who they'd been taught. We don't read that part. Okay? We don't. Revolutions don't happen because someone just walked in someday and said, this is how the world's going to change, and the world changed. It took lots of people quietly talking and convincing other people to talk about it, and people then getting on board. And then, yes, one person says, you shall not pass, to use Gandalf. This doesn't work anymore. And so I want to be, I want to be the person never talked about in history books who who didn't start. We're part of a movement that started home church, that turned churchianity and Church Inc. upside down and reformed the church.
But again, this is where I believe that our podcast is probably the most religious thing that I do regularly, where, again, I believe that in what it is that we do here, and I believe that ours is closely, we talk about, whether it's on the podcast or off the podcast, we get together, we talk about our problems. We talk about what's going on in our lives. We talk about what is the Christian response to what is going on in our lives. And I do believe that what is going on in this podcast, at least for you and I, is the most associated with what Acts is talking about is a true church. I can't necessarily say it for Kauai anymore, but I will absolutely defend what it is that we do Tuesdays.
It is for you and me. I think the only pushback I would say is you and I have not created that for the other people who listen, and maybe that's what you and I you and I It's December 11th when we're recording this. We have 3 weeks left.
No, this is a perfect
Maybe
segue.
you and I sit around for the next 3 weeks of the year and figure out is there a way where we can create? Because look, we say we want engagement from people, and maybe we need to create like a Patreon, but it's only like $1. It's not $20, but it's just like you pay $1, and then it's a private conversation. It's not on the internet. We're not asking people to put questions or concerns on X or an email or in comments on Apple or Spotify, but we create like a safe space where people can actually like, look, this is what I'm dealing with. Because I don't think we've really created that.
That's fair.
That's only it's church for you and me, but it's not.
That's what we want moving forward. But I mean, again, this is where just shout out to our viewership and slightly complaint to our viewership is nobody's interacted with us. I was like, we have lots of people that have listened and that continuously listen every single week. And listen, when I say the general, nobody's interacted with us. Sorry to Chris, Andy, and Jeff. And to which all three of you know that I love you with all of my being. But if you're not Chris, Andy, and Jeff, then I haven't heard from you. And therefore, I can't pray for you. I can't be challenged by you. I can't help you with your challenges. And actually, you know what? Honorable mention for the whole Chris, Andy, Jeff, Tim's mom. You're also on the list. But let's have a discussion. Let's make this a discussion.
Yeah.
And that's what we've always wanted. That's what we've wanted for our podcast. And we're going to get to our New Year's resolutions here in a bit. And especially with me wrapping up my master's program, it's going to be more of how do we focus on getting this into more of a conversational, not just between Tim and I, but also conversational between the viewers and ourselves of just like, how do we have a conversation about what it is that God wants for all of us in our lives and your response to what it is that we say and or what you're feeling in the world currently and how we can assist or help in that in the same way that an elder can assist or help in that with a home church.
And it doesn't have to be a topic. It's just like, pray for me for this. And
Absolutely.
we won't share it on the show. We'll just pray for it.
Unless you wanted it on the show. Where it's like, where you wanted other people that you don't even know sitting out there, but still feeling the connection to God's kingdom, where there are people out there that are sitting there and saying, hey, we're willing to be prayer warriors for you and pray and care for you from afar, which is still huge. So
where there's one, when there's more than, more than two, more than one, there's a church. What's the phrase?
I have no idea, but there's two of us, so therefore we're a church. So
I think that there's more than one, there's a church. I'll have to look that up. All right.
Title of the episode right there.
Where there's two, there's a church.
Where there's two, there's a church.
That sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings.
And a college football debate.
We thank you for listening to this episode of the Go to Hell podcast. We do have a Go to Hell. I think we're Go to Hell Pod on X, but I'm on X. I don't check that often, although I do get it's in my app, so I get notifications. But if you want to hit me up, you can hit me up on Twitter at Tim Curley. I am not one of those who's hiding. You can see my face. There's a picture of me standing in a flag stand at a NASCAR race and everything. And my name, I don't hide on X. I'm not a bot. I'm not some anonymous person.
Do you have a blue check mark?
When I have a blue check mark.
Oh,
when I say snide things about people, I put my name behind it and I say snide thing. I spend most of my time saying snide things about. It's either snide things or gifts. Gifts are like.
I can't believe he's calling them gifts.
GIFs, whatever. GIFs,
Come
GIFs.
on, bro.
It's with a G. I'm like, what you want to do? Like, there's Jif peanut butter and there's GIF, then there's GIFs. Yeah, those are the easiest way to convey your thoughts and feelings. Hit me up there. I'll take a look. We are on Substack. We have a Substack channel. We actually publish the podcast on the Substack channel. But I'll take a look at maybe there's some other way where we can generate more private conversation without. We're not trying to extract dollars out of people at all.
No.
Whatever money goes to, we used to say if we got money, it'd go to our beer spending. I think at this point, just go to probably when I grow up, the charity I support. Yeah. We don't drink that much anyway, so it's part of our normal drinking habit. But
I was like, never. We don't drink at all.
What do we? Wait, did we do the last beer? We did not do the last beer. We did beer number 2 of Absolution, but beer number 4 of the evening.
And if you're thinking that, also, if you're sitting there and you're like, you guys had 4 beers?
No.
Our last 2 beers were split cans.
Both Absolutions were split cans.
I like this one better.
This was a little more classic. It's the Harvester of the Wretched with the not thrilled with the can. West Coast double IPA. It's 9%, 9.1%, which is definitely why we're sharing it.
It was a good beer. I felt like it was actually the first beer. I felt like it tastes the flavor profile of the beer was the same, but it didn't have the scent.
Did not have the scent.
Like the texture and the flavor of the beer felt fairly similar to Nigh Rider, but it was...
Yeah, it didn't have the funk.
But it didn't have the funk, yeah.
Yeah, the second one was more pleasant. It had the similar flavor profile. It was thick, so therefore the warmer it got, the less pleasant it was.
Yeah.
Which is always that's the problem with the 9% beers.
Or just the thicker ones.
Is usually... Often with the 9%, the double to leaning and triple beers is they tend to be thicker in the mouth, and the warmer they get, then the less tasty they are, which means you're drinking quicker something which you should be sipping. That's the That's the rub. That's the catch-22.
That's right.
Okay. So thanks for listening. Send us comments wherever, or don't. I don't care. I mean, we do care. Actually, we would love comments and tell us why this crazy thing is a thing, or you guys are dipshits for thinking this, or whatever. And it used to be so much easier to tell people to go to hell. Now, we're in we've done this 200 times. It's harder to figure out to tell to go to hell. Ah, well, if you're Notre Dame and you're really complaining at this point about not getting into a playoff, and you don't want to go
join a fucking conference and go to
join a conference, shut the fuck up, play someone who's meaningful, or beat the 2 teams that you played that were good, and then shut the hell up about it, because everybody else you played sucked ass. So sorry, Notre Dame. I thought you were one of the best teams, probably the best 5-6 teams in the country, but winning matters. So go to hell.
That's right.